Hello, my name is Jon Cooke, and you're watching One More Conjecture. Okay, just a quick update. Recently, I've been working on a press kit so that I can start performing live. I made a vocal edit of the track which I played you some of the bass sounds last episode, and I've also been working on putting together a DJ set to complement my live show where I just play my own stuff. And I'm going to show you one of the things which came up when I was working on that today. The first thing which I thought would be really good to look at today is an old trick for saving on CPU usage. I always like starting with a bit of bass. Okay, so we've got this bass sound here. So there's a few elements going on in that sound. There is the sub, and this one here is the top. The problem with this particular bass sound is that I wanted to do lots of variations on it, but it involved duplicating all 5 of these plugins. Each one is a separate instance of Reactive 5 with a version of Razor open. So here is just one of them. When I play that, we get a lovely visual. It's really heavy on CPU when I was kind of, I had maybe 5 different versions of this, each with the 5 each. Basically, I was using up kind of 60% of my CPU without actually playing anything in the end, and it was getting really hard to move forward. So what I looked into more was finding a way to bounce the tracks to audio. Now, fortunately, Ableton Live has a way of doing this which is really convenient. It's called freeze track. The problem is it doesn't let you include sidechain compression. If I'd tried to freeze this in the original project, it wouldn't have worked because of the sidechain compressors being there. So what do you do to freeze your track to audio when you still want sidechain compression for mix sake, right? What I found is the best way to do this, in my opinion. I've seen other people do it other ways, but I think this is by far the most convenient. Insert an audio track, any old audio track. Take all of the plugins that you want to keep. I'm just going to group all these ones together here, make a nice little rack like that. Just press Command G to group. I'm going to drag these into my separate audio track. So now all of the sidechain compressors that I had are gone from here, right? Which means that now I can right click on the track, freeze track. And right now, there we go. It's just freezing my arrangement. What this does is it bounces just the track by itself to audio, but it keeps, quite crucially, it keeps all of the automation data on the channel's mixer. So that includes pans, sends, the volume of the track, and the device on and off on the track, which is really useful because, at some later stage in my mix, I might want to adjust some of my volume automation because it wasn't quite right or something. But we're at this stage, we're assuming that we're happy with the sound that we've created, and any adjustments that we want to make will be minor, so I won't have to go back to the original plugin. I'll just kind of use some effects, bit of EQ, that kind of thing, because once you've frozen your track, there is the problem of going back to the original plugins, which you can do when it's frozen ordinarily. I'll just show you what you get. So the track's been grayed out, which means it's frozen. Once you've frozen the track, you can unfreeze it. Here it is, the unfreeze track. If I did that, it would give me the plugins back. What's actually going to play is an audio file rather than live processing all of the plugins and everything on the fly. There you go. Sounds quite different to when I had all my effects plugins, which are here on it. Now, you can see the plugins grayed out in the plugin window. I cannot now drag my effects and put them back into there. Won't let me do it. Okay. So in order to get those effects back onto here, we've got 2 methods of doing this. We can either route the audio from here through something else, or we can flatten the track and it'll get rid of the plugins completely. They will be gone. So if you've not saved a backup of that somewhere else, then that could be a problem. So I always make sure I've saved a copy of the track before I flatten it. Put it in another project, or just put it in my user library. And now you can see the audio files have just come in. I can take my effects rack and put it back on, and there it is. it should sound exactly as it did before. No change. Another thing that you might want to do when you're mixing, you might want to work out what key your track is in. Now, there are some pieces of software. There's a free one. I'll post the link in the description if I remember. But personally, I tried it on one track and I wasn't convinced that it had got the key right. The root note of the bass was not the note of the key, which I think confused the program a little bit, and it gave the wrong reading, in my opinion. If you want to be a little bit more accurate, what I've done is I've just got an ordinary sine wave out of operator, and I've set up a little scale. This is a minor scale, and what I can do is I can drag on this box here where it says E2 to E3. If I drag up, it moves all the notes up. If I drag down, it moves all the notes down. So here we are in C minor at the moment. I've also got a major scale here. Okay, so we've got our track. And let's see if we can match this scale here to the track. Okay, so when they're playing at the same time, they should sound like they belong together. That sounds pretty good, actually. That's let's play another key. Okay, so I've moved it up a semitone. You can hear straight away it sounds very out. So yeah, I think by coincidence I happened to put this in the key that it was in. That wasn't intentional. That's my personal way of finding keys of tracks. I found it to be very accurate so far. I'm starting to mix in the different tracks that I've got by other artists' tracks which aren't mine. They're sitting together really well after I've key matched them in this way. Okay, this is the part of the episode where I review something. I don't need my headphones anymore. Last episode, I reviewed this album, which was Robots and Romans by June Miller. I didn't show you the cover because I didn't think to. Today, I'm going to review Etherwood, Blue Leaves. This is a release by med school music artist Etherwood. The thing which makes this album stand out from other drum and bass albums, particularly in my opinion, is that it's very song-based. Most drum and bass albums, you know, they're very kind of rhythm, groove, loops. This album is different, you know. Etherwood has clearly set out with a clear goal of what he wanted to achieve in terms of his songwriting, and I think he's really managed to go out there and nail that. It's liquid drum and bass, liquid funk, the genre, which means it's kind of more chilled out. You know, there's lots of piano in this, lots of acoustic instruments, but it really suits the style of the songwriting. The standout songs on this album for me are Souvenirs, Caption, and Breathe It In, but there are some really great other tracks on here, particularly The Rain Will Fall, which features LSB. There's some real work has gone into this album, and I think it really shows. Well done to Etherwood for really doing something that is a little bit different, that I kind of feel needs to be done for electronic music in general, but for drum and bass, it's really welcome to my ears because I really appreciate singer-songwriters and their music. Etherwood lends his own voice to some of his tracks and also gets some great vocal collaborations as well. Something quite special. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment and subscribe, and thank you for those of you who have already subscribed. I don't know who you are, but I know that you are, so thank you. Yeah. The reason why Operator is one of my favourite plugins every time is just because of the sheer simplicity of it and the efficiency of it. It is an incredibly good plugin to use. It's very hard to open to many instances. Something a little bit fun. So a little while ago, this is the sound that I started with. I think it sounds a bit like a printer or something. Like, can you not hear that? It sounds like a printer. What I then did, who listens to printers for music, right? I took the audio from Operator and I put it into a simpler, a sampler in Ableton. Yeah, originally it sounded like this. And then I routed that audio through this channel here pitched it down a bit, put it through some resonators, and who'd have thought? Sounds like a steel drum. This has been One More Conjecture.